attention, please.
I think this is a good idea.
Dreams without goals.
People are getting fed up with corporate America.
I want you to get up, stand up, fight back. Ask what you can do for your country.
Don't call it a comeback.
Cool. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Corner Launch. My name's Jeremy Griffin, broadcasting live from Startup Street, corner Swan and McDill, the Pod Shop, doing it again. Trying to be consistent with this time. 1 year straight. Let's see where we get. Joined here on my right by my man Andrew.
Good morning, everybody.
Personal pit stop. Make sure you check him out. Joined
Check
here
us
on my
out.
left by Gina Marie.
Hello.
Gina's Warehouse at Gina's Warehouse on Instagram.
Yes, it is.
Gotcha. And we got my good friend Chris in the house.
Woohoo!
360 Painting of Brandon. He's also a real estate agent. How are you doing, Chris?
Not too bad.
We got my man. So hold on a minute. She said, "Well, you didn't introduce Rick." Go ahead, Rick. We got Rick in the house. Say hello, Rick.
Hey, hello.
You're so odd, Gina. All right. So
Thank
how's
you.
everything going, Chris?
It's good, man. It's good. You know, I got the late night DJ voice that he's got. You know, you got to slow it down.
Slow it down.
Yeah.
Slow it down. So,
Yeah.
360 Painting of Brandon. What do you do with that? What is that for all of our listeners? Just kind of give us a brief breakdown of what it is you got going on there, and then we'll jump into some of the fun stuff.
Yeah, well, you know, residential, commercial painting. You know, interior, exterior. Got a slow-moving child. We'll even tag him too if he gets if he gets in the way. But it's all manifested pretty much from identifying weakness in the market. You know, we were flipping houses and can't find anybody to save your life that's reliable. So I thought, well, why not create
The
hub?
painting side of things is always, painters and roofers really is, that's where the gap is in that marketplace, I think. So, what we were just talking about before, in terms of staying organized, Gina's on this CRM trip these days,
Yes, I am. I love it. I mean, especially everything's gone so virtual and the amount of data that we have to handle.
AC technician, can we kill that? Can we kill that? Yes. Can we kill that real quick?
Oh my God, he has one job. One job.
It's all good. I forgot too. So, but staying organized is something that we all struggle with. Everybody struggles with. The next small business, I don't care, small business, big business, whatever, that you get out of the customer experience and actually into working with them. The next one that's not a mess, at least a little bit, will be the first, right? So we were talking about CRMs. Gina's on this whole CRM trip because she wants to get organized. I'm on the same trip. Everybody's on the same trip, right? So what are you doing? What Rocket? Yeah. Rocket Man?
So, yes, the Rocket Man. Well, to go back to Rocket Man theme stuff, right? I recently got really obsessed with Dan Carlin's Hardcore History. It's a great podcast. And what I really started to gather from this podcast in one of the specific episodes was basically one of the podcast episode was called Supernova in the East. It was about World War II, right? And what I started to notice is, what helped the U.S. so much, right? In the war it was a war of production more than it was anything, right? We lost a lot of ships, for instance, in Pearl Harbor, and we had to make some adjustments in order to start producing, just
That's
enough goods. And in reality, business is really measured by how much we produce at a sustainable level, and can we keep that up, right? A war of attrition almost,
right?
And when it comes to doing business in an organized fashion, I think your ability to scale is really what sets you apart from everyone else. And that's kind of what forced me to really dive more into what am I doing daily and how effectively am I doing that? Am I delivering a customer experience that I would want at the end of the day? Or am I fooling myself?
Right.
Did good. It's like, did you really call everybody you were supposed to?
Exactly.
CRM kind of.
Well, and then walking them through the experience too with the customers. I think a lot of times when we're doing things, we think, you're like, yeah, well, we got the job done, but like, what was it? Was that experience on the customer side a wow one? Was it a wow one where, we got the job done, but man, like they were there and I knew how it was going to go beforehand and there was checkup points and to close out, I think, with what we do a lot of times, the closeout of the project is where things kind of tend to fall off naturally because you've just lost you've lost emotion on the project at that point. You know,
Yeah.
you're always so pumped up when you're getting going, and then by the time you're close to getting a job done, you're like, oh my God, you know, I was supposed to be on the next one 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Let's get going, you know.
Because there's always a hiccup, right? You're like, all right, I got
Always.
this down, and then all of a sudden something comes up and you have to manage it, right? And that's where the energy goes, and you're trying to kind of juggle the juggling act. So yes, Jeremy, I think you're dead on with that, where you are leaving some like loose ends at the end, or people. I know for me, sometimes I feel that way. But like with real estate, like there's some heavy duty liability, right? Like if I miss a date, it could be $100,000 due diligence that is lost or something like that.
Yeah.
Those key points where the CRM really come, like how does that, even beyond the transaction coordinator, because I want to know. I want to be reminded.
So what are you using to stay organized these days? Walk us through some of that for the listeners. You know what I mean?
My girlfriend says my Google Calendar is like a circus parade of colors. You know, it's just random things everywhere. But you know, ultimately, I think the thing that first and foremost helped me is we share a friend group pretty tight circle, and so I lean on a lot of the people that I see are doing high level things, and then rip off and duplicate R&D, right?
Yep.
I mean, hell, if this guy's doing something at a high level, it's working. Obviously, he's vetted some of the processes, and by implementing them, that it might benefit me. And so specifically, one of the key launching points was doing Insane Productivity by Darren Hardy. It's right when COVID hit. I was kind of like, all right, well, I got a lot of extra downtime with my kids. I got a 7 and a 5-year-old, and there's a very limited amount of activities you can do when they're around. At least from a standpoint of like, I'm going to sit on the phone and make some phone calls.
Right.
Like, yeah. Good luck with that
good
one.
luck.
That cold call nobody.
Yeah.
So using his program definitely helped me organize and coalesce my thoughts and create better behavior patterns.
What are a couple things that stuck with you from that program?
I would say one of the biggest things, and you wouldn't think this, Indistractable is another good book that just came out that kind of goes into highlighting, your sacred hours. And I turn my do not disturb on a lot more than I used to. And for me, it is hard to know people are going to call me and there's no one that's going to be there. And it's because I've committed to doing whatever this one activity is in my phone. I'll call you back when I get done. When you get in the rhythm of knowing, like you said, delivering a high level customer experience, and then thinking there needs to be a time where they can't reach me. Right. It's going to be better that's the case. It's tricky. But.
See, that's kind of confusing for me. I mean, like doing like the whole startup thing and like being like me, just like doing school, finishing school. I'm just like I can respond to that shit all
schoolwork
night.
on the podcast.
Yeah, I can.
Like that.
Yeah, doing homework that. Honestly, a hand-in exam I have to do before 5 o'clock. I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing, to be honest with you. But hey, like winging shit.
We'll
on
circle
the fly.
back next week.
You have kids. You have kids. I'm like young. By the way, I'm turning 23 in a couple days, the 27th.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm young. I'm by myself. I'm single. So I can answer that shit at 10:30 at night and not care. I'll be able.
My girlfriend hates it because my phone will actually automatically go on do not disturb at 8, and no one can get a hold of me unless you call me a couple times.
Yeah.
And she's like, I gotta call you twice, make me feel desperate. I'm like, well, no, man. It's to protect when I'm with you. Hey,
play little power games over there.
It's like, listen, I do love you.
You can make her exempt from it.
Yeah,
Yes.
We don't have
that's
to
a
say that, but
lose-lose.
you can make it
there's
so
a
she's
time and
directly
place
goes
for
through.
certain. The default is nobody could get on.
Right.
I need my time. But no, I read this in Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. It's a really good book, by the way. Just came out. So kind of like like You Can't Hurt Me from David Goggins. Really good in Audible format. And it's, he talks about the green lights that he had in his life. There's times where you get red lights, yellow lights, and green lights where, you either acknowledge and stall at the moment based on what you're seeing, you stop and adjust, or boom, it's a green light.
Love
And you roll through that thing with a
so
smile on your
much.
face, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, one of the things that I ran into with that was like, Darren Hardy talks about having your sacred hours where, you're better, your time's better spent not doing multiple things.
Yeah.
And Matthew McConaughey goes back to saying Hollywood is kind of like dating, right? When you want a chick, it's better than if you need a chick because, and I don't know why, he said Hollywood's kind of like a woman. When you need her, it's never going to work. But when you want her, but you're not biased to it, it's more likely to happen. And that's the way business
He's
is.
got some
When I
interesting takes on that
need-
whole dynamic.
Yeah.
I got some
Matthew
interesting takes on that
McConaughey.
dynamic.
But with business, it's like, look, I want your business, but I don't need your business.
Yeah.
And that's a hard pill to
No,
swallow.
it
but
is.
that is
Because
when you
what
can
ends up
say,
happening is, and we all go through that, but especially if you're in a period where you've got cash flow issues, and then you really need the work, you tend to end up discounting it.
Or taking the wrong kind of work.
Or taking the wrong kind of work, something that's not really in your wheelhouse. You got a little bit of cash, but it ain't enough to really service it how you need to.
Or that difficult client
right,
where you're
exactly.
like, oh my God, this is so hard. And, I think when you organize this way, you can have a clearer picture of who you want, what you like, where your time is being spent. And they say when you focus on something to distract yourself, even if it's to look at a text, it takes a certain amount of seconds to come back to what you're doing. So there's this constant delay. Like I heard that there is no multitasking. Our mind goes strictly in one location. We have to keep changing. So I'm going to do what you're saying. I love that. I do feel like the most.
What hours are you blocking out?
I would have to do in the evening,
I
and
don't
then
know
have
if
an
I am.
alternative option for someone. Like it has to be that at some point quickly. Like
Are you a morning or an evening person?
Yes.
Both.
And and I
a
will
night
tell you what
person.
my CRM today is, and I'm just working on it because I'm struggling. I want to change it. It's called Rick. My CRM is Rick, and I literally snapshot my texts. I have no time, right? It's like, I'll see you there Thursday. Okay, good. One, poof, and I send it over to him. Like, that's literally, this is my CRM right here.
And then I have my block of Do Not Disturb, which I go through and update calendars, which usually is like during lunch or whatever the case is, in my little world.
I wouldn't even be here today if it wasn't for Rick.
Our phone beat this morning. Oh, yes, that's right.
And he tells me last night, and I wake up, totally forget. I'm getting dressed, totally forget.
Right.
He's like, you got to go. I'm like, here we go.
Awesome. So what else are you using to stay organized these days?
Yeah, so with Monday.com, I really like the website. Somebody else introduced me to it. Same person actually that introduced me to Insane Productivity. And so I'm just following pretty much his operating system. The way I always say Monday.com is so it's so universally applicable. You can use it in any industry. I mean, I could see a variety of reasons you'd use it in anything from production to customer relations and management, because it can do anything. It's got hundreds of integrations between Slack and actual CRMs to import. It's a platform that crosstalks.
What do you use for a CRM though? Because that's because how I look at Monday is when I say obsessed. I mean, how I look at Monday is a task management kind of resource. But you've used it for a lot of different other things, and then project management you're going into, and then customer relations. But what about a CRM where you're actually keeping all of your contacts? What do you use for that?
Like him, we have many burning fires at the moment. So. I'm a real estate agent. We do have active real estate flips going on, and then I have the painting business. And then there's a few other adventures which I don't even acknowledge as real things right now, because it's like in due time. There's other businesses that are supplementing the painting business that aren't necessarily getting a lot of my attention, but they're there. But in the instance of real estate, we use KV Core. We get KV Core.
How do you like KV Core so far?
It's good, man. It's really good. Obviously, the more money you put into something, the more robust it is.
What is that? You said KV, like a K and a V?
KV Core is like the shit.
It is?
When it comes to real estate CRMs and stuff like that.
KV, like a K and a V,
correct.
Core, CORE?
Yeah. Let me
Why
tell
have I
you.
never? How's the app on the phone? See, here's the thing. Let me tell you right now, everybody who's listening, all 5 of us, listen, let me tell you right now. CRMs are great and they're awesome. The better they are, the worse their app is, because they have trouble like transitioning over to the app and all the platforms, right? So you could be like, wow, this is so great. And then you have these simplistic CRMs that work great as an app. And that is the biggest thing. Like, how is their app? Because I need stuff on the run.
Yeah. So,
it's just not going to function like that. You know what I mean? It's like, Photoshop, right? Photoshop is a fantastic software. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Are you able to, is it even possible to actually function with that on your phone? No, it's not.
But how do I grab the information? Like, I don't have to input it, right? But how do I grab the information as I'm on the road? How is that?
Well, I have these like rounded sausage fingers, so for typing furiously on my little phone, it never works well. But no,
How do you
I always
retrieve
say,
it?
it's almost always on. I go to Chrome and then I turn on set as desktop browser, and I just use a lot of stuff that way.
Yeah.
I don't like apps because they get in the way of the
desktop
functionality.
browser. Go to Chrome so you can use all that. Is
Well, you could do the same with Safari. If you go to
Yeah.
the top right corner, you can view it as a desktop website, and it definitely cuts down on the BS of functionality
Does it
losses.
work okay though? But can you kind of manage it?
You have to on KV Core. Yes, I ran into a lot of stuff that it was just frustrating to me not having. There are certain times where a button you're trying to press isn't in the box you're looking at, and you scroll up and it's just like you just get to tease it and you see it and you're like, I'm gonna smash this phone. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's what you run into unfortunately with the apps.
We're really happy with how KV Core has come along.
Well, compared to Lion
You like
Desk,
it?
yeah.
You use it?
We've got the whole entire brokerage set up with it.
Yeah, 50 agents is our
So better than Dot Loop? I mean, this is
so
short,
not
but-
only when we sign, and it's very expensive for everybody, but for the brokerage to have everybody on it, but everybody's got their CRM now. It's got lead gen in it. Everybody gets their own custom website as well that looks tight. They could do their. Did you get your website
Well, you
set
can
up on
create
there?
landing pages
You
at
can
no
create
extra
landing
cost,
pages,
which
custom
are great.
domains. So if you wanted to do, Gina sells warehouseartsdistrict.com, you just direct that to your custom site.
Question to you, Jeremy. Like, so with your brokerage, right, and all the people in it, I mean, do you get access to all their information, or is their stuff separate?
Yeah.
Okay. And then how much is it per person if you do it independently
That
versus
I'm
a brokerage? How much is it, like $100 per person sort of scenario a month?
No, so for the brokerage, it goes by tiers, and I think for us, it's probably running about $2,500 a month.
Gotcha.
But for an individual, I think that the cheapest you can get as an individual is probably $500 a month, maybe something like that.
Yeah, Well, the thing is,
but it's
there's a lot that
up
you.
here.
Yeah, there's
Nice.
a lot if you have the money. There's definitely a lot.
Think
worth
about
putting
it
in.
like this. When I'm trying to convince people to, because especially with marketing, right? Where do things always get fucked up in marketing? You generate leads, you generate traffic, blah, 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 but the company isn't set up on the back end in order to actually take advantage of that to follow up. They don't have any kind of upsells going on. They don't have the ability to retain customers and stay in touch with them and all that shit, right? So when I'm trying to convince people to do these things, you just break it down, or it's like with you, and you're like, I don't know, it sounds like a lot of money. Well, how many more transactions a year do you need in order to break even on that?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Lion Desk, you were talking about automation and VAs. Lion Desk actually has, it's called Lion Desk Setup for You, I think. And God, it was so awful. It's as far as as far as CRMs go, you're like, I'm paying someone to have to use this. Every month, a good amount of money.
Right.
It's just everything wasn't native. There was a new version which was even worse. I'm like, it
drives me
the
crazy.
fluidity of it all was awful.
I think Salesforce, though, I really can't figure it out. I'm just going to be honest with you. I think Salesforce, now that they acquired Slack, is going to be our leader, because you have to think of the longevity. And I was on ClickUp, which I absolutely loved, and all of a sudden ClickUp decided to do this upgrade and only put icons. They said, no more lists. We're just going to put your icons there, and you have to figure it out. I'm like, I called them like, are you kidding me? They're like, well, we're having a lot of complaints on that. We're having trouble. I said, what picture of a little butterfly is going to help me with where I have to go? These people, I feel hostage.
Well, what do they say? The best CRM is the one you use, And I think finding a CRM that you can understand that's native, they're all different. I mean, you think they're all designed by other humans.
Yep.
And we all do shit the own way that is weird and unique. And you just have to find who you vibe with. Like, for me, there's Trello. Trello's a very popular task management or project management software. Comparable to Monday. And
you ever use Basecamp?
Free. We use Basecamp, remember? We all did.
I like
Basecamp at all.
They should burn that. They should burn that.
What didn't you like about it?
You have these, it's
Burn that
embedded
shit.
and the images wouldn't show. You have to
Fucking
open
light
up
on
the image to be able
fire.
to. There was a lot of not user friendly for like if you have a lot of crap that you're dumping in there. And I do, so that's really interesting, these things you're bringing up, because this is key.
Well, so there's little things that bother me about Monday, right? Monday.com is by far the most robust setup I've ever seen. And I was just typing in over time, different project management tools, running through everything. You asked me what CRMs I use. So with real estate, we use KV Core. I also use that for some of the investment stuff. Once we get someone from a lead nurture standpoint, we do that. We're using Smarter Contact for some of the text platforms.
Smarter Contact for texting?
Yes, there's a lot of different. We use Deal Machine for creating mailers. Deal Machine. These are all real estate related ones.
No, tell me. Wait, what's the second one? You're going fast. Slow down there.
There's
buddy.
like 5 I have to do cross data entry.
Okay,
this
so we
is
got
what
Monday.com.
This is where it all
Deal
falls
Machine.
into a black hole.
What's the third one? Deal Machine. I know, because you could over CRM yourself to death. You're like, before you know it, that's all I'm doing, right?
Well, with the painting franchise, I have to absorb what they do. They have their ways of monitoring production rates of the franchisees. So they have their own CRM, which is an absolute cluster. I mean, so we just ignore that one. It's part of my life, but I just randomly interact with it. But yeah, the
What's
way
Smarter Contact is
yeah,
the
Smarter Contact is a text platform. I think the guy that runs Smarter Contact's from here, isn't he? He's
I
a
don't
local
know. Let's
guy.
get him on though.
Let's get him on
'Cause,
because I love that. That's exciting.
I forget his name, Alex Jandik. He's local too, and he
Okay.
uses them. And I saw them on a podcast talking about them being a local company.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, all of these companies really ones that I've seen other people use with good luck, and you know, there's just too many rotating components to kind of like, you know, separately talk, because some of the things integrate for me on
and
the
relationships of all the others, like you're hitting. This is the conversation that I'm hearing across the board, like the CRM whole movement and having people even be able to set up a platform. I'm curious. I forgot what I was going to say. It just threw me off.
Well, relationship management, I think you're getting towards relationship management. Like if you found out someone has a dog and they
I'm
love
curious
this dog,
if she
right?
just drifts off.
I'm like freaked out over this stuff. Like this is
Shiny
like,
object.
I love
Right?
This is so. It is. It's. My brain starts to go crap. Like, you know. First of all, any program is only good with the data input, right? So do you have someone dumping the data in, or are you the guy that's putting all this stuff in Monday?
Well, it depends on where the data is coming from. You know, if it's an email, it's the virtual assistant. Phone calls, virtual assistant. She's got her own, you know, phone line that I have designated to her that she either does calls out, you know, for the real estate related activities, or you know, some of the project management side tools for the painting business as well. She kind of has multiple hats.
That's beautiful. I've remembered now what I was going to say. So texting, signing. Jeremy, no need to be ridiculous. You're right. The texting, signing, right? So now we have DocuSign and all of them, but ones that can sign via texting, not just a link, but like,
that's
you
a
know,
good one.
is there, I heard there's really some platforms coming up that make it easy that have you heard anything on this?
No, I use DocuSign. I like DocuSign
Yeah.
because, well, I
Really?
mean, I have Dotloop as a real estate agent,
Right.
and it's great because, you know, it's like a repository and everything's loaded up for my brokerage on forms that they want us to use. But I pay for DocuSign every month just because when I'm onboarding painters, specifically, let's say, I can load in 5 or 6 PDF documents from a 1099 to no theft policy, everything, and then I can assign them in each document their roles. So they can't screw it up and accidentally fill the wrong shit out. And then I can send it to them. It's already signed on my behalf. So there's
Right.
none of that, hey, did you send the picture?
Right.
Email nonsense. So for me, it's big, you know, single tasking, I guess, is the opposite of multitasking.
Love
Try
that.
to group everything in one spot, and then that's
Single
when you get it.
tasking, and I agree. This is the way. This is really where we're going. Honestly, I'm so excited to be talking about this.
No, it's a war of attention now more than anything, right? That's what social media is. You know, they design apps and they design games to be not addictive, but entertaining to the point where
Psychologically,
yeah, it's like, oh, the new pop-up. Did you see this new bonus
I mean,
gun on your
they're
game?
playing the
Like,
game too. They're
Yeah.
trying to get their money too.
Yeah, I
they're
mean,
trying to
that's
get you
what
hooked.
it
I have a
is.
question for all of you, G Suite, because I find that everything comes down to Google. You know, like we're just a piece of Google somehow, right? So we have G Suite and all of those. What do you incorporate that at all? Because to me, I was finding my CRMs, and then I added G Suite, and then I was like, I'm lost. Like you have the sheets, you have the docs, you have
You got
the
lost in
folders
G
disappear.
Suite.
So many features.
The drives. My virtual assistant, I don't know what she does. I set it all up, and then I come back, and there's all these random folders. I mean, it is like a crap show. It really
Yeah.
is. So what is do you use any of the G Suite, or what do you
Oh
do?
yeah.
I actually, so I have the native intelligence of maybe like a small chimpanzee, you know, so I have to refine it through YouTube University, all my little craft trades. But yeah, no, I literally, I figured med students, right, are some of the most well-organized people because of all the shit they have coming at them. And so I literally spent a few days just watching YouTube videos on how med students study, how they organize their time, how do they, you know, and then that led into other things. There's quite a few YouTube channels from, you know, higher level college people, I guess, basically creating their own channel on different things, like how they study, how they block their time. And that really helped feed me the information I needed to do some of those things that we're talking about, you know, from a production standpoint, and organize my thoughts at least a little bit
To win the
better.
war of attrition.
Basically. Well, I mean, they want to distract you.
Right.
My phone is,
Right.
I almost always have it on silent, and at least it vibrates. So
Right.
you know, hey, there's a time and place. But it's definitely new to me to see 48 text messages unread, and you're like, I'll get to it eventually, and not have that part of your brain where you're like, oh God, there's
to react.
Problems, there's money flying out the door. You know?
Well, I think in real estate it's worse than it is with painting, right? Because with real estate, if you go on Zillow and you're paying for a Premier Agent, you've got a couple other agents. Now, Home Advisor's like that for me, but with Home Advisor, I can put all these other systems in place for digital communication to happen because everyone is calling already, these people. So we just put them on a drip campaign automatically, and then I give them a couple days, and then I call them because they've seen my call center calls them. It's like the last thing I want to be is one more person, feeding them. But you definitely,
this is good stuff. I mean, I would love to see a series on this and on just a grassroots level, because you go on and they have these levels and everyone's very specific to what their product is. But the relationships too is a big thing. Now people are starting to talk, because what we found, because what I tried so long to do was one CRM. I said, what's that one CRM? And there wasn't one, right? So it's this kind of like, how do we link these, like
and
all
ones
these
that
things?
try to be the all-in-ones, usually, they started off with one core competency,
right?
And then they start adding things and adding more and more, and when they add them, they're junk, and you're like, okay, well, yeah, this all-in-one package here, this 20% of it is awesome,
right?
That's probably what they started off with.
Well, I think KV Core, after looking at what's out there, KV Core is pretty much.
Are you get it independently?
What? No, I get it through the brokerage, but I pay for the other features. You can add things. Like they actually have. I guess it's like a hybrid of their version of virtual assistants and an AI. I guess you would call it machine learning, but some way of a bot would interact with the person at a low level. Then once they get a response, they basically onboard the lead for you and walk them through the process. So pretty much by the time you get them on the phone,
here's what I figured out too, because I obsessively dig into everything, right? So I went on this whole campaign, and there were some apps I won't mention, but I found that some of these apps people had access to a lot of the data, and they were very aware of some of the key players, right? They knew these key players here or in these states, and they had easy access to it. And to me, that is a lead source on the levels of 50,000. When we think of where this list comes, and you pay, people pay 50,000 for these leads, right? Where do they come from? They come from someone who has this data easily and is able to sell it. And these guys I started seeing, because I'm like, share your computer, and I go, oh my God, how are they seeing all that? And then I'd see their stuff. Like, well, I normally don't show this. And I'm like, why does he have all that over there? And I just started going, oh my gosh, these guys have access to these big players. And all that, and I don't think they realize it, right?
I always like doing that. Anytime I'm in Zoom calls, I always look at the person's browsers and their tabs, and I'm like, write that down right there. Thanks for the insight. But
mine are
you gotta be, man.
Mine are probably like, woo, what's going on there?
Yeah, the life of Zoom, you can really find out a lot about people that you never would have known otherwise.
Yeah, you got to make sure to make those browser tabs disappear, right?
Like the other day, I kept it on.
That teacher or whatever that got caught out there. Did you hear about him?
No.
Naked?
No, well, not naked, but, he was on a conference call via Zoom with everybody else. And his part was done, and he just minimized the window. He thought he closed it out, and he must have been stressed out or had an empty morning and was like, all right, let's go on Pornhub for a little bit. But it was muted, too. So everybody on Zoom is just in horror as this guy's going to town on himself.
What a life.
No.
That gets real.
I mean, it's not something I wouldn't have expected to happen.
No, a professor?
I don't know. It was something like that.
Hey, a professor's a person, too.
That's what I'm saying.
They're going to make mistakes.
Happen, and we've got to be more kind to each other. Because I just did
Chris said that's dark.
That's like, you get to see a real keen insight on how that person's mentality is that day.
I did this the other day. I put up a Google thing. I didn't really know this person well. It was actually CRM management, off in some other country or whatever. I don't know. We were talking for a little bit, and I did not remember I didn't shut it down. And I don't think he did either. And it was on there for like 2-3 hours. The only reason I realized that I'm having conversations. I luckily wasn't doing any of that at that moment. So there you go. But
start talking smack about him the minute you guys thought
I
you were
really
off?
wasn't. I was just in my own world, and I'm trying to get onto another Zoom meeting, and I can't get on. I'm like, it's broken, guys. And it's that moment I realized that I've been on Zoom and like with someone I was really not too sure of, and I'm like, I don't know if I trust that person sharing my friggin' screen and me. Like it was just like everything was out there. And it's, I have to go, you know what? This is
it
a
is
new
what it
world.
is.
I
What are you gonna
can't,
do,
you just
you know?
can't be. You gotta be, you gotta, like, this is the way it is.
So you kind of dove a little bit into something I kind of wanted to highlight, which I like about KV Core. I, in typical fashion of me, I overlearn before I apply, but I was taking every class that they had on KV Core so I could grasp, hey, what am I interacting with, and where's my safety net for my data, because I didn't want KV Core to have access to certain things. Obviously I don't want you to know who the hell I'm working with, let alone their personal information. And KV Core is really good about that, because even as an agent inside a brokerage, the brokerage itself can't gain access to your data. Now, you can actually turn on some of the leads if you want their information to be shown, but they default to private. Now,
Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if they're sent to you, like if you're in a brokerage and your brokerage is paying for a lead aggregation system, $15,000 a month for advertising or whatever, and you get a lead, it's not on private, because they want to know, hey, did you make those phone calls?
That's part of the account. That's part of the feature of it from the broker standpoint. That's really nice, is the accountability aspect of things. Then you know what I mean, where you can literally get the breakdown report at the end of every single month and say, okay, this one, you got all of this and nothing happened. What happened? You got just this, but you did that with it. Good job, all that. So, no, I've been really really impressed with it so far. Everybody seems to. I mean, it's what EXP uses. Yep. EXP has built their whole entire.
Who's EXP? Is that when they like ESP?
Realty?
It's a
They're
real
like
estate
the
brokerage.
third biggest brokerage on the planet.
I
at
don't
this
care
point.
because it's a competitor.
Yep. Okay.
I don't care. I don't put that in my brain.
But they're humongous and they're very tech based. You know what I mean, and all that, and that's what their thing is. So.
Oh, wow.
So it's nice, though, right? Because basically, again, it's doing something. It's externalizing a process instead of him keeping it in his head about, hey, where are all these leads at? Did you nurture them? He just signs into his dashboard and bloop, bloop, bloop. There's a percentage.
This is so powerful. I can't say,
That's
like,
what,
dot loop is something I was considering for documents storage. What's your thought for the signing? Not really.
I would say just use, G Suite. I mean, I have G Suite through the franchise. They give us, the capacity to use it. I like when you have G Suite, you automatically get like a entry-level Zoom package. And so I do a lot of,
What G Suite do you have?
Oh, just the Google package. It
it?
comes as G Suite. I don't know what the cost is, because I have other websites through Google domains, and I'm not sure what the bump up is in price. But I know if Google hosts your domain, it's like $29 a month or something like that.
Oh wow.
But yeah, with that you get an entry level Zoom, so you can do like a 40-minute Zoom call for free. When you go to create like a meeting, it gives you a drop down of either Google Meet or the Zoom. So it's nice having that functionality in there.
Cool.
So
very cool.
But you asked about Monday.com, and it's one of those things where it's hard to discuss exactly what it does just because of you know what if this then that is. It's kind of like a programming philosophy of when one thing happens, then the next set of steps, and then you can do these universal things where it'll split. Well, if it goes this way, we put them into this subcategory. So that's basically what my Monday board looks like. I've got I've got leads that come in. From the leads, we qualify them whether we've had 1, 2, or 3 phone calls. Has it been a text or a phone call? And then it puts them in a variety of different buckets.
Did you set this up yourself?
Well, me and the VA did. Yes.
Oh, so
more of the VA. I'll give her.
I
credit.
would say this seems a little advanced to me.
Well, like I said, it's all on YouTube. I swear.
Right.
I watched it was a bio of a construction company on Monday.com, and she's like, "Yeah, we're gonna walk through this sample construction company."
Awesome.
I watched the whole video, and I'm like, "That looks cool," and I sent it to my VA. I said, "Do that." And that's pretty much how it worked out. We worked the kinks out, obviously, as over time we had to send a bunch of people through. But, knowing the next 48 production jobs I have are already scheduled and the colors are set up makes my life a lot easier than going, did that house want red or blue on the door?
Nice.
My damn monkey brain would just blow up if it had to retain that much information.
So for 360 painting, probably got about good 3-4 minutes left here.
That's it.
What are you trying to do? Yep, goes fast, man. It goes fast. God, those radio shows used to just,
So crazy.
They're like, well, you got an hour. You're like, what the hell am I going to talk about for an hour? And then it's like, shit, it's an hour. What are you trying? What's the goals for the rest of the year? What are you trying to do with the company?
So I'm gonna do 4 commercial projects this year. We got a lot of bids out. Definitely, my family owns an architecture firm, so you would think I'd know what the hell it looks like reading a draft of a building and basic drawings. But it is much more complicated than that when you're talking about a $50,000 or $100,000 paint job. And so that's, I'm, again, YouTube University. I'm just watching different videos on how to read the draft and, just drilling that in my head.
What's their architect firm?
It's Garcia Seufert Architects.
Out here?
Yeah, they mainly do, my dad always says, it's my little baby painting business, because they do, 1 million square foot and up commercial buildings.
That's a good contact to have.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, but, I grew up around that. And that's where I want to be, As a kid, I was in the convention center walking around when it was all still empty and getting built. So I see that in my head, and I'm like, that's my game plan is to do,
Those contracts are more complex, but they're almost, there's different levels of management for things like that, you know what I mean? But I've always enjoyed working in the B2B space more than with the consumer space, you know what I mean? I think once you get those commercial contracts going, is that the goal, is to be able to shift completely to commercial at some point, or you know what I mean?
Technically feel like the best move would be that way, but the
it's
business is meant to scale, so if I can keep both, I'm definitely going to do that. It's just a matter of finding what works. It's like a CRM, right? Whatever's going to work for me is probably going to be the path, but there's a market for residential painters for sure. So
especially if the economy goes down. That was the one thing that I realized with the trades in 09 to about 2011 or whatnot. A lot of the bigger items, full kitchen remodels, things like that, they die down, but people still want to do something with their house. Flooring and painting actually went up.
Wow.
It went up huge.
I mean? Because exactly.
Huge.
Yeah.
Well, with COVID, we're seeing a lot of that.
Oh God, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Well, you're stuck inside all
day.
Stuck
inside, looking at these dirty ass walls.
Yeah.
The paint is not going to wipe away your bad marriage.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
so
not
the
going
light
to wipe
colors,
away your.
man.
The
Like,
magic
that
eraser
house.
though works well. I gotta give it Mr. Clean. He does a good job.
yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He'll take some paint
Quick
off
spot,
too if
right?
you're not careful.
Yeah, if you're not. Yeah, I've done that too.
Yeah.
I love
All
the
right, so-
commercial aspect. That's great because that is perfect. I mean, if you're doing a $100,000 paint job, that's awesome.
Yeah, just need a couple of those a month and I'll be good.
Yeah, there you
A
go.
couple of months.
Yeah.
Woo!
A month. Let's start out with just a couple. How's that sound?
Yeah. Just,
Okay.
just dive right into the shark pit, right?
Awesome. So, Chris, people that want to get a hold of you, where do they find you?
So, social media, you could just type in my name, Chris Seufert, Christopher Seufert, if you want to
Wait, spell
get
that
me in
out.
trouble.
Spell it out.
Oh, really?
Because that
Yeah.
Seufert?
Yes, it's German, so you have to say it like you're yelling at me.
Seufert.
No, but it's Seufert. S is in Sam, E-U, F is in Frank, E-R-T is in Tom.
I'm dyslexic.
Yeah.
I'm convinced now in my life I'm dyslexic because that was the ew. Yeah, I didn't hear. Just go straight across.
Yes.
So it's Christopher
Seufert.
S.
E-U-F-E-R-T.
You heard that? Okay, great.
Yeah, just check us out. 360 Painting.
I found
it's
you.
360 Painting of Brandon. And we got a pretty broad spectrum. We're on every channel. You have
Super.
to break into YouTube,
Website
but
looks
who knows?
nice too.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, the website looks tight. I like it.
Seufert. I like
Yeah.
it. I like the name.
Very
Yeah.
cool, very cool. Awesome. Well, for everybody listening, really appreciate it. Until the
thank
next
you.
time.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
I don't know, man. Good seeing you.
Watch this dating. Bro, if we could bang it out, fuck it. What if we banged out on the podcast? Fuck.
Your homework? Yeah, do it. Yeah, I love it.
It would be funny as fuck.